Hello and welcome to the fifth video in this series for beginners programming Python 3. So in this video we're going to look at making decisions. I've got Notepad open here with a new Python file. I'll assume by now that you know how to make yourself a Python file and run the script, so I won't show the directory and stuff that I'm in and all that. And what I'd like to do here is introduce something new. That's the if, else and else if you've programmed in many other languages before, you'll know exactly probably what this is. If you're brand new to programming, then you won't know what this is, which is why we're going to have a look at it. It's probably maybe the most important and most oft used thing in programming. It adds some logic. You can decide whether to do one thing or do another thing or do many different things depending on your code. So we're going to do this then by making a simple program which takes an input from the user, asking whether they want to convert a temperature that they put in to Fahrenheit or Celsius. So a very, very common exercise to do in Python, but I think quite a nice one to demonstrate the if and the else. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask for what we want to convert to. So I ask the question, what should I convert to? And you'll see in previous videos our answer will be stored, hopefully, as a string. Let's also get another piece of input, and this time we need the actual number of what we want to convert to. So here then we ask the user, I would like what temperature should we be converting? Now, the other thing I'd like to do here with this temperature is I'm going to convert this temperature to a float, and I'll explain later why I'm going to convert it to a float. And finally, I'm going to print this float just to check everything's okay. So let's just check this program then in the console. I just run it here. And it says, what should I convert to? We'll convert to Fahrenheit. And what temperature are we converting? Let's say 45. And we get 45 printed out now as a 0.0. It's a float. And F for Fahrenheit. So why do we need an if and an else in this program? Well, I need to know if the user has asked to convert to Fahrenheit or Celsius. So how do I write this in Python code? Well, it's actually very, very straightforward. I just ask if. I have an expression here in the if and then a double point. If the expression here is true, evaluates to 2, and we had a look at some comparison operators in the last video, then the code after the double point will be executed, but only the code that's indented. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to say that if convert is equal to C, we'll print temp F and we'll print C was seen. And both of these lines here are indented. So they will be executed after this double point here. They belong to our if. So if this expression here is true, which it is if we enter a big C, then these two lines of code will be executed. This line of code here, called anyway, will be executed anyway, no matter whether the if is true or false. So let's have a quick look at an example of this running. So I'll enter a C, temperature of 45 again. And now you can see that we've got C was seen, we printed out the 45.0, and we've got the anyway. If I just run that again and put an F and a 45, we only get the anyway, which means that the expression, as we know with an F, that was false, so we didn't execute the code belonging to this if. And again, the code that will be executed in the case of this if being true after the double point is all the code that directly afterwards is indented. And we can actually nest these indentations. I can say that if temp F is equal to 45, we can indent again and say temp F is 45. So let's just run that again. I'll enter C and 45, and now we can see that temp F is 45. I can also add something called an else. So if this statement here doesn't resolve to true, then I can say else, let's do something else. And now if I take this print up here, this print anyway is now indented. So this will only be executed now because it belongs to, again, the double point, it belongs to the else if this statement isn't true, so it's false. So let me run the program again. And now I'll enter an F, a temperature, and we get anyway. I run it again, I'll enter a C and a temperature, and we get C was seen and 45, but we don't get any anyway. This will only be executed if the if evaluates to false. In our program, we want to say that if the convert is a C, we want to convert this temp F to eventually an integer and the temperature in Celsius. Otherwise, if convert is an F, we want to convert to Fahrenheit. Otherwise, we want to print that we didn't understand the input that came from the user, which means we need to be able to do something else. We need to be able to say an else if. And the way we do that in Python is to say elif. And then we need an expression here to evaluate as well. So I'm going to take this one from here and say elif convert is F and write F was seen. Otherwise, we'll print anyway. And for now, what we can put is just did not understand the input. I'll keep this bit as brief as possible. It'd be fairly bad text in these, but it's just for an example. So now we have a program that says if we don't give in a C or an F for the temperature we should convert to, then we're going to just print did not understand the input. So let's have a look at that then running. So I'll enter a D here and then a temperature, and it says did not understand the input. Let's run it again. I'll enter an F, and it says the F was seen. So we can be fairly sure the program is working as expected. Now what remains actually is just to put the calculation in and print out the temperature that we're actually trying to calculate. So having a quick look on our good friend Google, I can see here that to turn 89 Fahrenheit into Celsius, I need a formula that is the Fahrenheit minus 32 multiplied by 5 over 9. The interesting thing here is I've got a Celsius 31.667. I'd like my program to give me a rounded whole number, so I'd like to see 32 as the result here. So converting to Celsius, we're in the convert equals C here. Let's put in this calculation. So we tab in, so we belong, and now we'll say our result is equal to temp minus 32 multiplied by 5 over 9. Now you might be wondering why I've got the brackets in like this, so I'm just going to I'm just going to enter the Python interpreter quickly just to show you something. If I have an expression where I want to do, say, 3 plus 4 and multiply 3 plus 4 by 5, 3 plus 4, as I know, is 7. 7 fives are 34. 5. So if I do 3 plus 4 multiplied by 5 and get the spaces right, I get the answer 23. And why is that? Well, that's because the precedence of the multiplication is higher than the plus. That will always be done first in this case. What I actually have to do is tell Python, by wrapping the 3 plus 4 in parentheses, that I want that evaluated first and then multiplying by 5, and I get the 35. And you can read a lot online in the documentation of Python about the precedence of operators. So what I'm saying here is please subtract 32 from my temperature and then multiply the result of that by the result of 5 divided by 9. Once I've got this result, of course, I've still got a float. So for now, I'm just going to print the result and have a quick look at this in the console. So I'm going to convert to Celsius, and I'm going to convert the temperature 89. And you can see we've got the 31.6666666. I want this to be a whole number, but if I actually cast that directly to an integer to have a whole number and just run the program again, you can see I get 31 because you can remember we lose the precision. We saw that in previous videos. I need to keep the precision, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a built-in function called round. And this function you can find in the Python documentation. Like everything, we simply say the number we want to round and how many digits we want to round to. And it's an optional parameter, the number of digits there. So in our case, I'd like to round to 0 digits. So I'm going to say that result is equal to round result. And now let me have a look at result. I'll run the program again. Convert to Celsius, 89. And now you can see that I've got 32. Let's have a look at what type result is. Run the program again. Convert to Celsius, temperature 89. And we can see that we've got an integer class as well. The interesting thing to note about round is it says here the return value is an integer if n digits is omitted, which we have, or is none. Otherwise, the return value is the same type as number. So although we gave round a float, what we've got returned here is an integer. So clearing the console screen then, we can put in the calculation now also to have our conversion to Fahrenheit. And a quick look on Google without showing you tells me I have to do the temperature multiplied by 9 divided by 5 plus 32. So I have the code in then to convert to Fahrenheit. Let's give that a quick test. So we'll convert to Fahrenheit from 36 degrees, and we get 97 Fahrenheit, which sounds about right. So last thing then, let's just put some text in to print something nice. So in our program is we take the input then, and we do our conversions, and then we say that an integer cast, just have a whole number of the original input in Celsius is, and the result. An integer cast of the original input in Fahrenheit is, and the result. Otherwise, we did not understand the input. And finally, we can say print, thanks for using this program, and be polite. So let's look at how the whole program works then. So we'll convert to Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius, and it says 30 in Fahrenheit is 86. Thanks for using this program. And one more go. We'll convert to Celsius from 104 Fahrenheit, and it says it's 40 degrees. And thank you very much for using this program again. Good then, so that's it for this video. I hope it's fairly clear for you how if, elif and else work. They can all be nested, as I showed at the beginning of the video, I think inside each other as well. And they're obviously a very, very powerful way of adding logic and decisions to your programs. So thanks very much for watching, and see you in the next video.